This is John for Global Traveler. This afternoon, I have the pleasure of talking about a great new documentary, The Hero's Journey, with producer David Vox Mullen and director Danny Reyes. How are you guys?
Great, great. Thanks for having us.
Yeah,
Thanks for
doing well.
joining.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thanks,
You
John.
know, let's go back to the beginning. First of all, The Hero's Journey is a story of David Herro, Wisconsin promoter, great friend of both of all of ours, I should say. Great guy. Everybody loves David. What made you guys want to do a documentary about him? I mean, a lot of people like a lot of other people. What was it that made you guys want to do a documentary about David Hero?
Well, first off, I would say everybody effing loves Dave Hero.
Thanks for keeping it clean, though.
I do. Well, yeah, I know the audience. Um, I mean, as I said at the premiere that you were at, Danny and I were looking to do a documentary, and we were trying to find the right subject. In truth, we were actually going down a different road, something having to do with a historical event that we may still do in the future. Um, but logistics of how we could actually pull one of these out, um, we both decided that we love pro wrestling, and I think Danny reached out to me and said, is there something we can do with pro wrestling? And then I was like, oh my gosh, yeah, we have a guy, and I was like, you've got to meet my friend Dave, and all of that, and well, the rest was history. Danny, take it from
Yeah,
there.
from my perspective, right prior to talking to Vox about this documentary, I had just finished, excuse me, I had just finished doing a short documentary on MMA fighter Gideon Ray. Uh, and that was kind of like my stepping stone back into documentary to see how I felt about it. Could I tell a good story that was longer? Because I had done very short mini documentaries, about 4 minutes long prior to that. And I wanted to do something about 15 to 20 minutes to see if I could do something that was actually full length after the fact. Once I did that and was successful, I brought it to Vox. I'm like, hey, we usually work together on things, usually in the comedy realm, especially with sketch comedy, things like that. Let's come together and actually create something with a story about someone. I wasn't sure who at the time. And I remember the day that Vox texted me, he's like, hey, what about Dave? And I was like, Dave who? He's like, Dave Hero. And he told me about it. I met Dave prior to that, maybe once or twice. He was a lot more friends with Vox at the time. And we sat down. I was like, okay, let's have a meeting with him. Let's talk it out. Let's see how it goes. And I think it was about 45 hour and a half minute long conversation with Dave. We walked out of there. You found me back in the parking lot and we had that conversation. I was like, we have to keep it clean. We have an effing movie. And that's my exact words were. And yeah, the rest just started from there. It was a trickle down effect and it started rolling. And then 2 years later, here we are.
And what did you guys learn about David through the making of the documentary? Go
Well,
ahead,
I mean, I
Vox.
jokingly say that, what I learned was that if you wait to the last minute, it only takes a minute. And nothing could be more truthful than the process of this documentary because we were literally flying by the seat of our pants the entire way. Um, I mean, if you knew what hell we put ourselves through to make this feature, you'd almost think multiple times that there's no way these two guys are going to pull this off. Like, there's no way these guys are going to do this story. But to Danny's credit, and to pat myself on the back a little bit, I knew if we didn't give up, if we didn't let setbacks, and believe me, there were setbacks. There were some crazy, almost supernatural setbacks with tech and gear and all that, to the point where there was no logic, reason, or we almost lost seriously important film. Like, just it was
At one
ridiculous.
point, yeah, at one point we almost lost 30 minutes of
Oh,
the edited project
Yeah,
already. And
yeah,
then
just
we thought we were gonna have to go back and restart from the beginning.
yeah.
wow.
But I mean, and you yourself, John, you saw the film. um it's I would say it's really competitive with any other documentary that's world famous, but I think it accomplishes our task of not just making a documentary, but telling a story and taking people on an emotional journey about a guy that they don't know. I mean, quite literally. I mean, that's the whole purpose. Yeah, wrestling is kind of the universe, but it's really about this guy that you know the normal person doesn't know. And but if you're fortunate enough to get into his circle of super friends, it's he pulls you right in, and he makes you one of the family, and it's you feel so lucky to be not only acquainted with Dave, but just to have him in your life. I mean, even in the film, I touch on the fact that me as an entertainer and the fame that I am enjoying, it doesn't happen without Dave Hero. So I mean, it's and he's happy to quietly kind of be in the back while all of these people that he sees talent and what in and he pushes them and encourages us and pushes us forward in the entertainment industry. And he's just happy to sit back and just celebrate our successes. And I thought, man, this guy deserves more celebration than any of us individually. And so that's why I really pushed for it with Danny. And he, clearly agrees. And we have this beautiful, beautiful story.
Yeah, one thing I learned about Dave from my 2 years getting to work with him was how humble of a man he is. I mean, we try to capture that the best we can throughout the documentary. One of the first scenes you get to see is when we're at Crusher Fest, which is coming up this weekend as we talk. He's setting up the chairs for his own show. And I remember we asked him, why are you doing that? He said, because it's the only way it gets done right. He could have someone else do it. He could not care, but he puts so much of himself and who he is into his work. And there's this humbleness that still comes with it. He's a great guy. If you talk to anyone who knows Dave Hero, they all talk about how great of a guy he is, how trustworthy he is, how hard he works. And we were able to see that for the last 2 years. And I think that was something that we wanted to really stick with. And that was the journey of a legacy of a person who was not only building his own legacy, but building it for his son as well. And that was something that I really enjoyed working with Dave Hero on was that story. I think the story is much more, and I think Vox touched upon is much more than just wrestling. One of the things that I remember hearing right after the documentary premiered is my mom was there and she came up to me. My mom knows nothing much about wrestling. She knows I'm a wrestling fan, but that's it. And she said, I enjoyed that so much because she's like, you didn't have to know about wrestling to enjoy this film. And that was the goal that I set out from the beginning was that this story is much more than just wrestling. It's the basis of wrestling, but the story is something that everyone can relate to, which is a parent leaving a legacy for their child. And I think that's something that we wanted to capture, and I think we successfully captured with.
You guys both brought up excellent points. I've known David for a lot of years, and this documentary wrestling is the backdrop, but this documentary really isn't about wrestling. It's about a great guy and his son. Could you guys talk a little bit about what you see between David and Cal? I mean, I think it's just such a beautiful relationship.
Yeah, I mean, I met Cal when he was very young. And there was always that subconscious thought in the back of my head of, this kid, if he ever wants to be a wrestler, he's definitely connected to the right people, right? Because he's Uncle Al and Scotty Too Hottie and all these guys around him, and you know, it just makes perfect sense for Cal to go down that road. But one of the things that, and of course we touched on it in the documentary, not to spoil it for anybody who hasn't seen it, but there is that question of nepotism. There is that question of, is it being handed to Cal? And we shine a light on that. And obviously to give away something, because Cal absolutely deserves the credibility for it, is he has to work 150 times harder, 200 times harder than anyone else who just decides to have this dream, because of that complaint of nepotism. And we definitely make it a point of showcasing that Cal is not just, oh, my dad's involved, so I'm going to do it. Like there's almost zero nepotism when it comes to the amount of effort that Cal puts forward. And we do try to showcase that, because not only do we want to see Cal succeed, but we want the powers that be to also recognize that, no, Cal isn't taking any of this for granted. He really is working hard. And hopefully there are people, named or unnamed, who need to see the film, who can see that in Cal. And we would love to play even the tiniest sliver of a role in helping Cal, you know, achieve that dream.
Yeah, Cal is such a good kid, and I think it really shows throughout this documentary. But one thing that I know that we've learned while following Cal and Dave is that it's not a front. It's not because he's the baby face that they put it in wrestling terms. What you see with Cal, that good kid is a good kid. Like he works hard. He's very what's the word I'm trying to think of? Um I'm having a hard time thinking of the word.
He's
Totally
humble.
went blank. That's what I was thinking of. Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
he's
He's
definitely
very
humble.
humble. He's a
Yeah.
humble kid, and he like what you see is what you get with Cal. It's not a front, it's not fake. We've had a chance to pull back the curtain with anyone we've met, and we've seen everyone's true colors. And some stuff will not make the documentary. We made sure that that's the
Right.
case. But Cal is Cal. Like he, and that says something for I think Dave as well too. And Dave, we didn't touch much about upon this in the documentary, and there wasn't it wasn't because of Dave. It was my own decision and Vox's decision that we didn't talk about Dave's marriage or his ex or how he raised Cal, because for the most part, Dave did raise Cal on his own, and who Cal is today is because of Dave. Who the hard worker, the person that's very humble, the person that doesn't take it for granted, is because Dave taught that to him and instilled that into him. And I think that really shows where he's going right now.
Yeah.
And that's the thing I love about Cal is that Cal continues to grow and continues to get better on his own and doesn't take anything for granted.
One of the things
Oh, go
that
ahead.
Dave mentioned while we were interviewing him that it didn't make it to the final cut, but I think it still needs to be said, is that it's so evident that he puts Cal first before the wrestling, to the point where Dave even said, if my son says to me, I don't want to do this anymore, he's shutting it all down. Blizzard Brawl, GLCW, everything. Dave said, he goes, if Cal says to me, I did what I wanted to do with it, I don't want to do it anymore, then that's it. We're done. I'm only continuing it for my son. And there's part of me that kind of wishes we did put it in the film, but it's just one of those things where it doesn't have to be said. It doesn't have to be said. It's neat to know that, yeah, Dave exemplifies that in living his life, but he really puts Cal first. If there's an opportunity to do something, exciting and fun that the three of us would be like, we would drop everything to go do, Dave would be like, I can't, I got to take care of what I need to take care of as a dad. And that, I think, really speaks volumes into his parenting style. And what I think is really special is that Cal recognizes that in his dad. And so he is so appreciative of his own father, which is, not everybody has that relationship with their father. I can admit I don't, I mean, it's,
I
it's,
don't.
it's very, very special. And as a father myself, I do try to model what Dave does that I've seen, and I'm not very good at it. but Dave really is just a great guy, a great father. But he is a father first and foremost.
I think you guys summed it up beautifully, and I think it came through excellently in the documentary. I thought you guys did a great job of balancing everything, showing everything. You showed the relationship with Cal. You didn't focus necessarily on Cal. I went into it with high expectations. I know both you guys. I know David and Cal and Uncle Al. Know you guys, and I had high expectations. I'm not going to lie. I thought you guys would put out a great product, and you surpassed my expectations. I
Thank
really
you.
thought it was a doc, and it's funny. I tell people that I saw it, and they go, "Oh, is that a wrestling movie?" I go, "What?" Yes and no. Again, wrestling is the backdrop, but this is really a story of just a really good guy. And there's a lot of great guys out there, but to shine the light on someone like David, I think is fantastic. And you guys did a fantastic job with it, and I applaud you. Um,
Thank you. Well,
so
Thank you so
what is
much.
next? What
yeah,
is next? I know that you had the premiere. The premiere was fantastic, well attended. We're all there.
yeah.
What's next?
Yeah, we had over 160 some odd people at the gate, which was, for a very small theater, we were packed. It was great. The very next thing that's happening is we are taking the film down to River City WrestleCon in Florida, June 6th through 8th or 9th or whatever. I think they keep is initially they said it was going to be at noon. Then they said they were going to do it at 2 o'clock. And then after our premiere did so well, I think they're pushing it to the evening so that more people can see it.
Nice.
So like I just got the alert now. So I mean that makes me feel good. That makes me feel like, oh, they're taking us seriously. Um, uh, the next step is to send it through the film festival circuit to see if it, can perform well in competition with all the other films that are going to be competing. I'd love to see it win some awards if possible. Um, a little bit of behind the scenes of business. We've reached out to a bunch of film distribution companies, and we've already gotten two different companies reach out to us that has expressed interest. So, we'll see what happens with that. We know at the end of the day, it is absolutely 100% going to end up on a streaming service. Which one that will be, we haven't really locked in just yet, but from our past connections and network and things that we know we can do, we have the ability to put it somewhere that's available to the world. But we'd really like to see if some bigger time players would be interested instead of us just independently doing it, just so that it gets a little bit more of the credibility that it deserves and has a stronger push behind it. But with the way the world is in society and with the internet being the way it is, you really don't necessarily need the big machine. But we'll see what happens. We're just having fun at this point. Danny and I, well, we joke. Danny did all the hard work with the filming and the editing. Now comes my job as the producer to do all the marketing and the pushing and the promoting and all that stuff. But I enjoy that. One of the things I wanted to talk about the film that makes me feel very validated is early on when we were doing the edit, Danny and I really focused hard on the roller coaster journey of emotion. Danny being a big dramatic and narrative fan, and me being the comedian, I knew there had to be a marriage between, comedy and levity and sadness and darkness and humor and silliness and slapstick. And so I worked really well as a team to kind of go, okay, yeah, now we know the puzzle pieces. You here, and you need to have the laugh here, and you need to bring it heavy here, and really tell a story. And not only do I think we accomplished that, but the fact that we didn't tell anybody that, and people were specifically saying these things to us after the film, that, oh my gosh, you took me up, you took me down, you took me here, you took me there. That was so validating. It's funny because I'm looking at screenshots on my TV right now, and there's a picture of Danny behind the camera, and it's just kismet, but it really was an extremely satisfying experience. The good, the rough. None of it was bad. Some of it was scary, for sure. There was definitely tension and points of like, oh no, what are we gonna do? But not at a single point was I like, I hate this. It was so much fun to film, and at this point, I was telling Dave just last night, I am still on a high from this weekend. It was such a great experience. And I'm just super pumped to see what else we can do with this film. And obviously what else that means for Danny's and my, company Under the L Productions, what other projects we can do.
Yeah,
And
to go
everybody's
back
coming out of the woodwork. Everybody's coming out of the woodwork. People we've known in the past, new people, they're all reaching out to us. Oh, we want to do this. What do you guys think about doing this? So this is fun. This is the fun part of, like, it's obviously going to be a success. And it's just a matter of, how do we capitalize on that and move forward, and because we got to keep thinking about the next thing, but that's what you do in this
Yeah,
business.
it's an exciting time. And to go back to your question, John, like where it goes from here, we don't know exactly where it goes because there's a lot of moving pieces. But I think we both agree that it's exceeded our expectations immensely already. If
Already.
it doesn't
Yeah.
go anywhere else from here for right now, we know that we gave something that Dave can hold on for the rest of his life, and that he can now give to Cal, and Cal can give to his future kids whenever he has it. I mean, I remember both of them coming out to me after the premiere saying, like, thank you so much for what you did for our family, because this is something that we can hold on to for the rest of
Right.
our lives. And I think that's one of the biggest takeaways from this that we're happy about. Now, we're continuing to grow. It's getting so much buzz. Like Fox said, people are coming out of nowhere just to say thank, or either say congratulations, or we have these ideas, we want to work with you. That says a lot to us, and I think that gives us the validation that we succeeded in what we set out to do with this project. And we don't know where that's going to take us from next, but I think both know that we're not stopping anytime soon. This is going to continue to grow. We have ideas already where the next projects are going to go, whether they're in the documentary realm, the narrative world. We have television pitches that we have, and we were going to start working on. There's so many projects that we want to go with, and I think we're in a place right now where it's very exciting. We don't want to announce a lot of things yet, but things are in the background already going. And there's already a project that's been filmed for the most part that is going to be edited for the next few months, probably less than a few months, Fox will want. And that's already going to be another full-length feature project. So there's a lot going on, and we're excited where it takes us.
Well,
And
you
it's fun to
gentlemen
fill the whiteboard, with projects and things we
yeah.
want to do and ideas.
Well, you gentlemen have succeeded. There's no doubt. Tony and I saw it. We loved it. We're both still talking about it. We both think that really it hit on all cylinders, like I said. When your next project comes out, I'll certainly be behind that. I love the work you guys are doing. Tell everybody where they can find out more information about the hero's journey.
Well, right now you can go. We've got an Instagram account for the Hero's Journey. It's just the Hero's Journey with 2 R's, because Dave is Dave Hero with 2 R's. And you could also look us up on IMDb. Yeah, all of our individual social medias. Dave, follow Dave, follow Danny, follow myself, and we're constantly posting things. And honestly, if you're just paying attention to us, you'll see what's happening.
Yeah, and to give you like a little behind the scenes, Corinne, the documentary actually sets up an Easter egg of what the next documentary might be. Fox knows what it is.
Yeah.
We're not going to say what it is yet, but if you pay attention, you might know where this goes next for the second documentary in the wrestling series that we want to do. But I won't say what that is until it comes out.
Now you've piqued my interest. Well, you had my interest. Now you've
Right.
you really hit it into high gear.
Especially if the big studio gives us lots of money to shoot it. That would be the goal.
Hey, if I had control, I certainly would.
Right.
Danny,
We'll
David,
come call him when we're looking for investors, John.
absolutely. John's Beat, we have an unlimited budget. No problem at all. Fox, Danny, really, thank you very much for your time. Thanks for putting out a fantastic movie. Anybody that knows Dave, or if you don't know him, you will get to know him. Great guy. You two guys are also 2 of my favorites. Thank you both for your time. Good luck with the documentary, and let's keep it updated.
And if
Thank you so
anybody
much,
sees
John.
the film, they'll see a recognizable face in the audience.
Yeah, that was one of the
That's
parts that
true.
really kind of scared me a little bit. That one guy in the shirt, but hey, I really and putting my name in the credits just blew me away. So thank you very much for that. That was a
Absolutely.
really cool thing.
Of course.
Gentlemen,
No, John, you're a big part of our success, so we had to give back.
but thank you, really, guys. Thank you for your time, and we're going to keep following you, and we'll get updates as you guys announce them.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Thanks,
John.
guys.